Hi, everybody. This is Rhonda Spinar with the PowerShift and a member of the CPU. I'm here with my son, Jonathan.
Hi.
And we're going to kind of do a Q&A answering questions that John had when he started asking questions around the PowerShift solution and just what that involved and how I answered him. So I thought this was good because John is just 16. He just turned 16 in December. So this is a take from, someone who doesn't know how our government really works, someone who is in the school system, like the K to 12 school system, that 15 and between 15 and 20 who can sign our convention of consent, but might not have all their questions answered, and they may not know what this is truly about. So that's kind of what this Q&A or this live is about. So hang tight because we're freewheeling some of this, and John's kind of scared. So here we go. Oh, a little housekeeping beforehand. The Canadian People's Union is a federally registered nonprofit organization that is about uniting the people of Canada for our civil and political rights. The Canadian People's Union created the PowerShift Solution for the people of Canada to use for free. It doesn't cost you anything to sign your convention of consent. It is a solution that does not, we're self-funded through memberships. So if you signing your convention of consent does not make you a member of the Canadian People's Union, it makes you what we call a power shifter, in the sense that you're uniting with everybody else across Canada who has signed their convention of consent in wanting to keep your government accountable. So since we're member driven, we do ask, if you do wish to become a CPU member, on our website, which is right down in the corner there, is a membership page where you can join. And it's an annual membership, costs about $10 a month. You can pay either monthly, it's an annual membership broken out into 12 monthly payments, or you can pay the whole 120 at once. If you don't wish to be a member, but you wish to donate, because that's how we keep the doors open and this going, there's that option as well. With every membership and every donation, you're given a free ebook an ebook that Nicole and I created that explains the power shift and explains some of the documentation that we found behind this. Okay, so, and please, we're doing a Dare to Dream celebration in Ottawa on July 30th to August 1st. We're going across Canada on July 30th. So if you wish to help organize an event in your area, please contact by email richard@thepowershift.ca. And I think that's the end of the housekeeping items right now. We're going to get right to the video.
All right.
Okay. So for months, John overheard me talking about this power shift, or it wasn't called the power shift at the beginning. It was called something else, but we rebranded it as the power shift. And he heard me talking about our Constitution. He heard me talking about our government. He heard me talking about why things in Canada just weren't working for the people. And he started asking me questions. So what surprised you the most when you started learning about some of this, or at the beginning?
Well, what surprised me the most was that in reference to the crown, when it came to like the Constitution and everything, it wasn't talking about the British crown, which is what I was taught in school. It was referring instead to the
Crown of Canada.
The Crown of Canada, which I had no idea.
That's right. A lot of people aren't aware that our crown in our Constitution is a crown of Canada. And the reason for that is because in 1931, the monarchy no longer make decisions for any of the states or nations that are in the Commonwealth. So since 1931, the monarchy has made no decisions for Canada, will not intercede. It's actually in the Westminster Statute of Westminster of 1931. Canada stayed tied to the UK Parliament at that point because they asked to be. And in 1981, they finally what's called repatriating. They finally repatriated our constitution through a series of amendments that they sent over to the UK Parliament to become the Canada Bill of 1981. That was approved, and we have our new Constitution of 1982, which the Queen came over, and the Queen of Canada, because when she was over here signing, she was representing the Queen of Canada, not the Queen of England. The Queen of Canada signed, and that's the last document she has ever signed for Canada, was in 1982. And from that point on, she has really, the UK and the Queen have, except for our Constitution, have no bearing in Canada. All the powers that are vested in the head of state go to the Prime Minister and the Queen's Privy Council. So what else did you find funny or interesting?
Interesting. Well, really how our government worked. I had taken, of course, some like social studies classes, and we talked slightly about our government system, how we were the parliamentary democracy. Mm-hmm. But I had no idea we had a Senate. I didn't know that we could not that we can't recall our federally elected representatives, even provincially, and except for BC. Yeah,
and that's exactly right. We have, once we elect somebody, we have two types of democracy in Canada. We have what's called representative democracy. Mm-hmm. That's voting. And so we vote for who's going to represent us in the parliaments and legislatures. So the parliaments are generally the term for the federal government, is the House of Commons or the federal parliament. Legislatures are the terms generally used for the provincial legislatures. So in those areas, we have no influence, no say, no anything in between elections. That's pretty much it. and then for the third tier of our governance, which is our municipal governance, we have more influence there, but even that is being drastically stopped. So what else did you have? What other questions did you have?
Well, when I found out about the Convention of Consent and everything, at first I just thought it was a petition, and I thought that the whole goal was just to get enough people to sign the petition, then we take it to the Governor General or something, and that would fix it. And I was shocked and I was confused, because how would that fix it? Because it's just a petition, and what government would give up their power just because some people signed a petition? But then I found out it was an actually legally binding document, and mm-hmm. And once enough people sign that, then the government will have to give the people back the ability to choose for themselves the policy.
And then you also found, because this has been an evolving process, yes, people, we've also discovered that we're not going after a constitutional amendment. At the beginning, we thought this was going to be a constitutional amendment. We're going to have to do a constitutional challenge, all of that. And then we found out through some Hansards and through some documents that exist in the UK Parliament and in the UK papers that went back and forth between the parliamentarians there, the Lords and the MPs there. We found out that all we need to do is ask for constitutional correction in the UK Parliament. And that's what we're doing. So the Convention of Consent is to prove that we have enough people in Canada that want this. And enough people in Canada is an arbitrary number. In our Constitution, it's 51% of 7 provinces or 7 premiers and the Prime Minister. However, that's for a constitutional amendment. However, we're not going for a constitutional amendment. The government itself, the federal government, in order to put in any policies that affect our daily lives to an extreme, which they have done over and over again, are actually supposed to call a referendum. However, they've circumvented that with the P3s, the public-private partnerships. In order to get those approved in Parliament, they took it to court, and they said that if they do a survey and 1,600 people, at the time it wasn't 1,600, it was a different number, but approximately 1,600 people, a random survey across Canada, depending on how those people answer, that could be considered a referendum. And that's why we see surveys used a lot. And it's the specific surveys that have that magic number of about 1,600 people. Those are generally used by the government for opinion or public perception, to gauge public perception on whether or not something is viable. They use it as propaganda to switch public perception, to massage public perception, to be able to say with confidence that, hey, had we called a referendum, that it would have been this way anyway, because the sampling of the population said this. That sampling, though, in my province is 50 people for a province of 1 million. So you can see how small of a sampling is actually used. Is that really true? Is that what would bear out if a real referendum were called? Probably not these days, because so much is people decide so much on public perception and what they see in public, all of that. So there's many ways that it could go. So that's why we're using the Convention of Consent. It's a legal document that you're signing, stating with everybody else, you're basically legal to everybody else. You're saying, I agree with you, and I want to hold the government accountable. I want things put in place that hold the government accountable. I want to have committees in every citizen committees or citizen working groups in every riding to work with the citizens in each riding, to educate us on what's happening, what our government is doing, so that we can give our input immediately, so that we can have representation at that community level, where we have people that are voted into those committees or working groups, and they work with the MP or the voter or the cabinet member or provincial MP, or even our municipal representatives that are in our ridings that are making decisions on our behalf. This is our feedback to them. They then work for us. They don't work for the political party per se. They work for us, and they then go back and do their vote on that particular topic based on that. The second thing that it would do is allow us to have what are called citizen-led referendums, where the citizens could all of a sudden we'd have a process in place where we would trigger a referendum based on certain issues that the government is wanting. So, or that they're wanting to change or add or input. It wouldn't be just bills being approved or processed. It wouldn't be bills introduced. There would be no more petitions introduced, really. It would all boil down to the community level. So in a sense, our existing governance is like a triangle, where we have a totalitarian decision making at the top, and everything filters down to the bottom. We would actually be flipping that over, so that the people on the bottom, us, the people on the bottom would hold the highest level, and we would trickle down our needs and how we are wanting decisions to be made down to the people in the legislatures, and in the parliaments. So is that I've explained it to you that way before.
Yeah,
did that make sense to you when I did it?
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, and the reason we're going for now, do you understand why we're going for the constitutional correction in the UK?
In the UK, no, but here, yes.
Okay, so you don't understand in the UK. The reason we're doing it in the UK is the UK still holds our constitution. They're still the foreign, our constitution was never approved by the Canadian Parliament. It's always been approved in the UK Parliament.
Well then, what?
Yeah. So in 1867, the BNA Act was approved by the Parliament of the UK. So what happens is our parliamentarians work on the Constitution, and then they send it over to the UK Parliament for approval. Up until 1982, all constitutional amendments were sent over to the UK Parliament for approval. So it's that stopped in 1982, but our constitution is still over in the UK and will remain there until such time as we choose to bring it back home and have it put into the actual Parliament. So where was I going? I lost my train of thought.
Put into the actual Parliament.
Put into the actual part. Okay, so we can appeal to the UK to make the correction for us that our government never did. Our government was supposed to have, in a period of 15 years after 1982, our government was supposed to have a referendum for the voice of the people as to whether or not we wanted the Constitution, the constitutional changes, as to whether or not we wanted the amendments, as to, there's just a couple of things that they were supposed to get our voice on, and they didn't. And in fact, it was so blatantly not done. I don't know if people remember do you remember how our Constitution was put in place in the first place? Like how it was approved in the first place by our governments?
No, I do not.
You don't? Okay. So our government couldn't decide. And so they had, it's called the Night of the Long Knives. It happened in November.
That's not.
It happened in November of 1980.
The Night of the Long Knives is when the Nazi Party. No,
different. Okay, it's right. The reason it's called that is because Quebec felt that they were left out. So what happened is the premiers and the prime minister had been working for years actually on approving a new constitutional amendments. So they were working on putting the treaties into the Constitution. They were working on putting the Charter of Rights and Freedoms into the Constitution. And they had been working on this for years, actually, over 30 years in the making. And finally, they came to an agreement. They sent it over to the House of to the Parliament in the UK. And the Parliament in the UK was not going to approve our Constitution because there were several provinces that were not happy, like several premiers that were not happy with what was sent over to the UK, and they had actually started a Supreme Court action. And so the UK Parliament felt they should not interfere, so they were not going to approve it. As a Hail Mary, what happened is the premiers and the Prime Minister got together in November of 1981, and they, in a period of one night, they came up with a notwithstanding clause and a few other things, and they finally approved it all. They approved it, they signed it, and they sent that document over to the UK Parliament, and the UK Parliament went, fine, okay, you're in consensus, you speak for the people, so but you still haven't gotten the voice of the people. So that's where these other two clauses come into play that the UK Parliament put in that didn't exist previously in our Constitution. So that's how our Constitution got approved by the UK Parliament. Now, one of the clauses that was put in was this, that the people were supposed to have a voice in the Constitution. And what happened is 15 years went by, we're at 1995, and the clock is ticking out. Like the time is coming up where pressure is being put on by the UK Parliament. How come you haven't done this yet? Where is this? What's going on? The Prime Minister is starting to pressure the premiers. So once again, they met, and this time they met in Calgary, and it's called the Calgary Declaration. And they met and again decided to document that, yeah, they all agreed that the Constitution is fine. They're speaking again on behalf of the people. And that was enough to quasi appease the UK Parliament to not pull our Constitution from the UK Parliament. So based on that, we have real strength. All it's going to take is for the people to stand up and say they want this. They want to be able to hold their governments accountable, that they want to be in the collective head of state position, because that's the only position in the Constitution that holds government accountable is the head of state position. Because the head of state position rests in the Crown of Canada right now, the government, in a sense, is only accountable to themselves. And we're seeing what happens when that occurs. So this is why we're going for the constitutional correction versus a constitutional amendment, because it is the right of the UK Parliament to make that correction on the people's behalf. The people all the people have to do is make it very clear that they want this, and that is signing your Convention of Consent. What else about the Convention of Consent are you surprised about?
Not much else.
Are you surprised that your name is never given out anywhere, that your information remains 100% private?
No, that just makes sense, because when you sign a legally binding contract like that, usually your name is not just freely given out. It's all anonymous. It was made clear to me that it would be anonymous, so that didn't surprise me.
Yep, that's exactly right. Everybody who signs their Convention of Consent, their own Convention of Consent is assigned a number. And that is all that's given, are those numbers. Should we be asked to prove that these are legitimate? Usually how that happens is we would be given a random series of numbers, and we would have to then pull those series of numbers and double check to ensure that those are valid contracts. And by valid, I mean that the people are real, that the address is real, that we can contact the people, and all of that. And that's basically it. But that is done by us. And by us, I mean by one person, not us. Like one person does that so that everything remains completely private under the Privacy Act. And then that they sign an affidavit that states that, yep, they've double checked and everything is correct. And that goes off. So what else?
What do you mean? Like, what else surprised me?
Yeah, what else has surprised you about all of this?
Not much else. I was mainly just shocked with the state of our government. Okay, you know what did surprise me very much so is that in school, at least from my experience, I was taught so much stuff that is just blatantly wrong. Like I was taught that our bills that are passed have to get the approval of the Queen or the Queen's representative, which no.
Well, the Governor General, yes and no.
Yes and no.
It's vague. It's in symbolism only. They don't tell you this. And that's what they should be telling you, is it's in symbolism only. The Governor General symbolizes the Crown of Canada. The Governor General answers to the Prime Minister and the Queen's Privy Council, not the Crown of Canada, because they are the Crown of Canada. So really there's no the nothing sent over to the Queen. Nothing is we can't appeal to the Governor General for help. That surprised you?
Yeah, that did surprise me.
Yeah, because we've been told, I mean, I was told that in school too, that the Governor General works for the people, and that, the Governor General, if you ever have a problem, or the Lieutenant Governors in your provinces, that's who you go to. And no, that's not the case for the people of Canada.
Yeah. Well, because I thought at the beginning we were taking the Convention of Consent to the Governor General, but no, we're taking it to UK.
Yeah, and we're taking it straight to the UK Parliament. We're not even taking it to the Queen. Out of courtesy, we're letting those bodies know, or those positions know what we're doing out of courtesy. But the real decision making is going to be done in the UK Parliament or the courts of the UK. That's where that's going to happen. And we're getting questions in the chat here. People are asking, how old do you have to be to sign? When did you sign yours, John?
The day I turned 15. I think I might have the record for how fast.
Yeah. So as soon as you turn 15, you can sign. So, and John was also surprised to learn about the Senate.
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
I was not taught we had a Senate, in school, I was taught it was the parliament, and then like the parliamentary legislature, and then the prime minister, and then the Supreme Court, and that's it. Never learned about the Senate. And then I found out about the Senate, and I was like, oh, cool. I didn't know we elected people to the Senate. Nope. Prime Minister just assigns people to the Senate.
Yeah, they're partisan. So, and there's so many Senate seats per province. So when you're appealing, so when we do calls to action and ask people to contact the senators, really contact the senators from your province, and they're easy to find. They're right on the Senate list. They're all you can find them by province or whatever. And the reason is because the senators that aren't from your province, really you have no influence over. That's just the way it goes. You can contact the senators that work on a committee. Mm-hmm. So if you're contacting them regarding a committee issue, or you have feedback that you want to give regarding a committee, you can contact every senator on that committee and include the senators from your province. So yeah, that's, and of course the MPs from your province, and out of if it's something that filters down into provincial legislation, contact the MLAs in your province and the MLAs that represent your riding, and the MPs that represent your riding. Don't contact them all, because the ones that aren't from the riding that you reside in you won't hear from them ever. So you may not even hear from yours, but you definitely won't hear from somebody that you're not in their riding of. So. Yeah. So what else is there that you've been surprised about over the years?
Surprised about? Not much else. It was just the massive corruption in our government. Yeah. What really shocked me though was that we don't have recall legislation federally. Right. Because how else are we? Because you were talking about how we like our government officials are only held responsible to themselves. And I was like, well, what if we just recall? Why can't we just recall them, impeach them? Nope. Yeah, we don't have impeachment legislation in Canada, or the only province that has recall legislation is BC. And I think BC has used the recall legislation. I think there's been an attempt to use it about 20 times since it was put in place. In the late 1980s, I believe it was put in place. And it's been used about 20 times. I'm not completely up with my numbers there, but the last time I checked, it was either 17 or 20, somewhere in there. And it's only been successful once. And the one time it was successful, it never made it to the end of the recall process, because the MP or MLA for that riding quit. He retired. He didn't quit. Well, he retired. So that he wouldn't have that. That's his legacy. That's exactly right. So again, we can learn from BC's recall legislation as well, because it has never gone in all these years and all those attempts. It has never gone from start to finish. It's always ended prior to. They've never made it to the end. So to the people actually voting to recall somebody. They've either never gotten enough, that riding has never gotten enough signatures in order for it to proceed, or the deadline ran out, or something has always happened. So, which is interesting, because it's good legislation. It just needs to be, again, looked at. It hasn't been looked at since the 80s. So what else is there here? I'm trying to think off of the top of my head other questions that John had for me over the years. I think a big question is, how many signatures do we still need to get this going? It's already going. So we need to continue to get signatures. Ideally, we would have 51% of 7 provinces. We really realistically need about 3.7% of all the eligible voters in Canada. And there are only about 29 million eligible voters in Canada. So what are we at right now? Keep signing. We're not disclosing that number, actually. Okay. And the reason we're not disclosing that number is because we don't want the government or the UK Parliament, because they do watch us, we don't want them to know how close we are.
or how far away we are, or where we are, because we want to hold all the cards, not them. So,
All right.
so just know that we're continuing to collect signatures up until we will probably be collecting signatures even after we have the amount of signatures that we need, because the more people that sign, the more people we know are not buying into this, but they're getting skin in the game on this. They understand this. They're going to become informed and involved, which is what we need. Because what have I taught you? With democracy comes responsibility.
Yes.
And so if you're going to live in a democratic country, you have a responsibility to stay informed and involved in what your government is doing. You don't have to be involved and informed like hours every day or every week, but you do need to know what they're up to. You do need to know what's happening. You do need to be able to hold to give the proper feedback when asked, so that the government can be held accountable. And that's going to be even more important once we have this constitutional change. And that's, yeah, so we have a legal team in Canada, folks. We have a legal team in the UK. People keep asking what's happening in the UK. Our legal team is actually working on other cases at the moment. So as soon as it opens up, they will be working on ours. We're kind of in a queue, right? So the reason we're not panicking about that in the UK is, unlike Canada, the UK Parliament sits all summer. They don't stop for summer holidays. They don't close down for 3 months like we do. They work all through the summer. Now, our Parliament doesn't completely close down either. The House of Commons just does not sit. The Senate does not sit. But there's they continue to do committee work. They continue to do other work. But in the UK, they do not. They don't. They keep working. The parliaments keep sitting. Everybody keeps sitting. So. What do we mean by changing the Constitution? It's a constitutional correction. And in order to decolonize Canada, based on documents that our Canadian government agreed and signed on to the UN to decolonize Canada, that means that the people should be in charge of self-determination, self-governance. And we're not even in our Constitution to be able to do that, nor are the First Nations people or the Indigenous people of Canada. So the constitutional correction is to place the collective, citizens, and Indigenous people of Canada as the head of state, and thereby decolonizing Canada, putting us as equals, equal shareholders or equal owners of Canada and our governments. I'm just reading the comments here. Just give me a second here. Okay, so yeah, and I think that's what we're about. And again, we're having a big celebration. What's our celebration about on July 30th?
It's about unity between the Indigenous people of Canada and the Canadian citizens.
Yeah, coming together for the first time under what? The two-row wampum.
Yes.
And
I don't want to try to pronounce that, so I'm not going to.
And yeah, it's about having a partnership on all levels, collaboration on all levels. It's time that the people begin fixing this country in a way that our leaders never have. And we need to be involved for that. We can't just sit back and let other people do it for us. We really have to get in there and get it done. And so everybody keeps looking for who do I vote for? Who's going to fix this for us? Who's going to do this for us? We need as a society in Canada, Canadian culture, to quit asking who's going to do it for us and start saying, what do I need to do? Yeah. Because the only person that's going to change anything for us is the person that looks back in the mirror when you're brushing your teeth.
It's about accepting the responsibility that comes with having a democracy.
That's right.
Because if we just want someone else to fix everything for us, we might as well have a monarchy or a full-blown dictatorship without any facade of democracy.
Which is kind of what we have right now.
Well, we have the facade of democracy.
That's exactly right. We have the facade of democracy right now. So imagine we have this, and the reason we've called our celebration the Dare to Dream celebration is imagine a country where if you live in a part of Canada that has a huge issue, being able to get help for that quickly. If you deal, and help at the government level, so that you're actually able to talk with the MPs and the MLAs and your municipal governments in a way that they listen and collaborate with you in what you need, instead of all of this red tape and finger pointing and all of that. So that's what this is about. The Indigenous people should be an integral part of all decisions in Canada. They live here too. They are a part of Canada. They own half of Canada. So it is very, very important that they should be a part of everything. They have their own governance, but their governance has to listen to the federal government. Mm-hmm. Yet they have no representation in Parliament. Why is that? If they have to listen to the federal government, why do they not have representation from their government in Parliament? It makes no sense. What is an MLA? In my province, an MLA is a minister of the Legislative Assembly. So it's a provincial minister. So it's someone you vote in provincially versus federally. Yeah. MPs are members of Parliament. And
federal
members of Parliament. So an MLA is just your provincial, and I know different provinces call them different. Some are called MLPs, some are called MPAs, some are called, so it's just your provincial level of Parliament. And I can't read from Chilliwack, just a second. Great questions, folks. I'm just trying to read the... From Chilliwack, my question, can we overcome the travesty that the government has created with ongoing, and how long before the courts in the UK read the bill and hopefully get corrected? We're not sending a bill over. We are just appealing to the UK Parliament directly to fix this. We're appealing to the foreign minister who holds the power or holds the responsibility for our constitution in the UK Parliament. That's who we're appealing to. And if we have to, we'll appeal to that minister through lawyers. We're hoping that the minister does this through the people, but we're not holding our breath, and therefore we have a legal team.
Now, I saw a question earlier that I think is pretty important to get answered. What's to stop the UK government from just throwing it out and saying, no, we're not going to do this?
Well, the UK government is still tied to the people of Canada. They still have a responsibility to the people of Canada, and they know this. Mm-hmm. So that's what's stopping them. In fact, ironically, the UK Parliament right now, through our Constitution, has more of a responsibility to the people, more of a legal responsibility to the people of Canada than our own government.
Mm-hmm. We've seen governments shirk that legal responsibility before. What's to stop the UK government from doing it now?
Great question. Which is why we have a legal team over there. If we have to put pressure on them through a legal team, we will. That's exactly how this will be done. So, however, the UK, when they approved our constitution, stated that if the people decide, if the people's voice comes to them, they will go with the people. So that's why we need people to continue to sign their Convention of Consent, get as many people as you know to sign it, because that is how we're demonstrating that the people here want this. Our government will not allow us to have a referendum on this. So we are doing it ourselves in a way that is legal and safe and demonstrable to those parties that we need to demonstrate we have this number of people behind us, or that want this in Canada. So really, So did you have any questions around the Convention of Consent? Like, have you told other people about the Convention of Consent?
I have tried to tell people.
Mhm.
People I talk to my age just either say, "Oh, I'm not interested in politics," or they don't understand what it's for, and
Okay.
they think it's not going to do anything.
Okay, so I have some suggestions for that. And it basically appeals to how it's affecting how our government is affecting people right now. So basically I started asking people, do you want to hold your government accountable? Do you want to be able to hold your government accountable? Do you want to be able to hold your MLA or your MP accountable should they not follow through on promises that they made to get your vote? Do you want to stop the corruption that exists inside our government right now? Do you want to stop the corrupt lobbying that goes on? Do you want to have the Charter of Rights upheld and not removed, your rights removed? Do you want to be in a place in your own government where you have a voice and can collaborate or work with organizations to collaborate with the government? Those things. Do you want to be able to tell the government that they need to drop their carbon tax on gas right now because gas is insane? Do you want to be able to tell the government that they need to take a close look at what the two major companies that own pretty much all the major grocery stores in Canada are doing right now? Because grocery prices are getting out of hand and these companies are recording record billions in profits every quarter. Mm-hmm. Do you want to tell your government that you just basically everything that affects us personally, that you have a choice to medical procedures, that you have a choice, that you want our medical system to be looked at? Because why do we not have enough doctors? Why do we not have enough nurses? Why is there not enough staff? Why is there not enough support staff? What's going on? All of that comes down to signing your Convention of Consent to place us as the collective head of state, because only as the collective head of state can we put in place systems that oversee all of that, and systems that ensure that our government works with us, not above us, telling us what's going to get done. Mm-hmm. Our government, our elected officials have never worked for us. They've told us this over and over and over again, but they've never worked for us. How did I describe this to you once? I think I described it to you as though I related it to business. Mm-hmm. So think of the political parties like a charitable organization, because that's how they kind of operate. So they're a charitable organization. In order to get funding, they need votes. So they're going to choose candidates that they know can get the most votes. Those candidates work for that charitable organization or that political party. Those candidates, once they're elected, if they're successful in being elected, go on to work for that political party inside of Parliament. They never once worked for you. They tell us this, but they don't. The only people they work for are the people that belong to that political party. So if you're a party member, you may be able to get heard by your MP or MLA, but if you're not a member of the party that was voted in your riding, you probably won't be heard. And that's not democracy. You should not have to pay for a membership in order to be heard. So, it kind of goes against having a democratic society. And that's really how our political parties works. That's why they vote in blocks. They have, you never see, or rarely see a elected official going against the way the party wants them to vote. And if they do, they're usually not around very long after. Yeah, there's a lot of comments in the chat around what do we do? Are we going to occupy Ottawa for those 3 days? No, we're not occupying anything. We're there for the day in front of Parliament as we can be regarding the permit, and then we're leaving at the night. In fact, what we're asking people to do in the evening is go and walk around, go and visit the different shops, go see the museums, go visit the other venues, go and explore Ottawa. There's a lot of beautiful things, I guess. I've never been to Ottawa. I'm quite excited to go. So I guess there's a lot of beautiful things to see. It has a lot of things, a lot of tourist places for people to go and see. Go do that. We don't need, this is not a protest. It is a celebration of coming together. The people that we want to encourage the people of Ottawa to come out with us. Mm-hmm. It's not protesting. That's why we don't care whether the Parliament is in session or not when we're doing this. It's the fact that it's Heritage Day weekend was more important to us because it's our heritages, both of our heritages coming together, both of our cultures coming together. That's what this is about. And when I say both, like I'm talking about all immigrants who have become Canadian citizens, all immigrants who are permanent residents and plan on becoming Canadian citizens, please come out and celebrate. That's what this is about. It's about all of us coming together in unison, uniting for a strong Canada, for a strong foundation, for our children and future generations. That's what it's about. John, you're making the things.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so I think we've answered all the questions, a lot of the questions in the chat that I can see. Yeah, that's exactly it, Jennifer. Walking together. That's what we're starting to do in Canada. We're starting to walk together. We've put up a lot of information around the two real wampum, and we'll continue to do that because we feel this is extremely important. It's extremely important that we get back to the roots of why we exist in the first place. And we exist because a nation of people invited us to collaborate with them. Think about that. That's why we exist here. They didn't have to do that, and they did. So it's extremely important that we recognize that, and out of that becomes the healing. The healing that our leaders have given lip service to for decades can truly finally begin because it's in the hands of the people for the first time in our history. And I don't want to make it sound too utopian because it's not. It's going to be a hell of a lot of hard work and a lot of stops and starts, and we're going to make mistakes and all of that, but at least we're going to do it together. And this isn't Canada Day. This is Heritage Day, which is the August 1st long weekend. So it's July 30th, July 31st, and August 1st. July 30th, if you cannot make it to Ottawa, please consider helping organize an event in your city, in your town. And by organizing, all we're asking is for people to show up at their city hall, at their parliament, at a place that's public, that they are comfortable with, where they can gather, hold banners, hold flags, hold whatever, and just celebrate the coming together of the Indigenous people and the Canadian citizens. That's what this is. So if you want, you yourself can make it as huge or as low key as you want to make it. All we're asking is that one person who understands how to do Zooms or use their phone for live videos or connect through your phone to live videos to contact Richard at thepowershift.ca, because we want to organize live Zooms all across Canada that day between the hours of 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the reason for that is because we only have Parliament from about 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. or so. If we're able to get approval to have a block party that evening, then we will go into the evening. But for now, we only have that day, so that's what we're asking people to do for that day. And then on the 30th and the 31st and the 1st, the events in Ottawa. And if people still want to do stuff, we will definitely Zoom with you. The events in Ottawa are more like workshops and celebrations and, you know, all of that as well. But the main one is on Saturday, the 31st. Just because we wanted to have one day for all across Canada. And I think that's it. I think we've covered everything. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I think we have.
Okay, so Jonathan's going to be a regular feature for the summer. He's done grade 11. I keep saying high school. Done grade 11. So he's going to be a feature all summer. He's going to be working closely. You may actually see him doing his own Zooms. Yeah. Just so if you have
maybe not Zooms, probably just videos that I will post on YouTube.
Yeah. So if you have young people that have any questions that want to talk to Jonathan, by all means, you can have them send emails to myself, Rhonda at thepowershift.ca. And we can begin answering any questions that the youth may have. You know, I'm sure John would love to have a team of people, young people, to talk about all of this.
I'd love to get in touch with some other young people who want to really just like get involved with this already and help out for the future generations of Canada.
Well, because it is for you, isn't it?
It's for our generation and the future generations and the past generations that are currently still fighting for this. So yeah.
Okay, so I think we'll end it here because it's just sort of it's drawing on now. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys have a great evening. Thank you, and you will see more of us.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye.